It's 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. We're fortunate enough to have a delegation here tonight, Mr. Mitchell and Mrs. Work. So, floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's always an honor and a pleasure to come in front of council and talk about the good things that are happening in this community. And I have with me Gail Work, who is a part of our fundraising group and part of our public relations group. So I'm pleased that she joined me tonight. You know, first off, I want to say thank you to His Worship the Mayor and to our fellow new councillors, Laura, Michelle, and Lyle, and to our steadfast group of Lorna, Paul, and Georgia. It's a pleasure to be able to have this dialogue, and I hope we can do it more often and not in such a formal setting maybe. But I'm here to give an update and talk about all the great things that are going on in Vulcan County Health and Wellness Foundation. A week ago I sat in front of the county and did somewhat of the same thing. In terms of our project update, as you can see behind us, we've raised about $1,350,000 to date, and that has been over the last 4.5 years. I guess I should recap too, just a brief piece of our history. We've been in existence since 2012, so 2017. We've had a quick learning curve. We've gone from nothing to taking on a lot in this community. And you got to remember too, for any of the new people that are here, we've gone from a political climate in this province of risking losing our healthcare facility, asking people in this community who've dedicated 30 years of their lives to what rural can do with less, to a situation that we have before us now. I'm going to talk about innovation tonight. I'm going to talk about forward thinking. I'm going to talk about collaborative partnerships and the wonderful opportunities that we have ahead of us to partner with not just the town and Vulcan County, but with this province and with Alberta Health Services, who have been strong partners of late in terms of helping us do some incredible things. So, hey, first off, we just got over the aftermath of our annual Harvest for Health fundraiser, which was a great hit. We pull that off with short-term notice on tickets, and we all worry about whether we're going to sell out. And we had a great crowd. We raised over $110,000 that night. And just as I walked down here, I had one of our donors pass me, and this is how this goes. Pass me a check for $2,000. Right? I got a check for $60, and I got a check for $2,000. And you know what? That's part of this community coming together to do good things. And I think we need to celebrate that. We need to pause for a moment and just reflect on all the great things that everybody has contributed to this, and the town of Vulcan has been a huge partner in that. We need to celebrate those things. You guys had the vision and the foresight to step up to the plate and recognize what an impact that this project would have in the community forever. Okay, this is not just a next Wednesday project. This project will resonate in this community for a long time, and it will have impacts on people's lives every day. So good for you, okay? We need to celebrate those things. I can't put enough emphasis on that. When I'm here tonight, speaking on behalf of my fantastic volunteer board of trustees, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You were visionaries in seeing the future of what this is going to represent. Anyway, so we raised $110,000. Where are we? We're about $150,000 out that we need to complete this particular campaign. So then, the piece is, what's next? What do we do next? We're a brand new foundation. We didn't hardly get going, and all of a sudden we had a monumental project in front of us, which is unprecedented. I can tell you now, sitting here, that per capita, there are 69 foundations in Alberta. They raise approximately $200 million per year. Per capita, we have raised more money in Vulcan County than any foundation in the province of Alberta. Per capita, we have raised more money than anybody. again, that is a celebratory note. And I think that goes towards the dedication of all of our donor populace and the dedication of our board in terms of trying to get messaging out and making sure that people hear us and they know the good things that are going to follow this project. That has taken a lot of energy. So we're doing good things. We're close to trying to solidify this project in terms of just the stakeholder group, which your mayor is involved in. We're in a bit of a lull right now where everybody's doing their homework at capital planners and Alberta infrastructure, and I've been in contact with Larry Law, who has let me know just procedural wise why we haven't had a meeting for a while, and that's because they're all hunkered down doing the numbers game on this project. Tenders will go out in January. We are going to be in the ground in April. Okay, I was on the phone with him a week ago, and he promises me that is executable. So we're going to start making a mess in April, and so I would imagine at that point we would have some or all of you together to do a bit of a ribbon cutting, sod turning. We're going to make a little bit of a day out of that and celebrate these points in time where we need to as a community. I think to talk to pieces of this, a couple of months ago I got to sit down with Verna Yu, who is the CEO at Alberta Health Services. She was in town to do a teleconference. She wore her ears for like 3 hours downstairs, and she told everybody in this province to live long and prosper on a health teleconference. So she's all about innovation. We had a deep discussion about some connective tissue to Alberta Innovates that we would like to have as a foundation. And she also talked about sustainable projects. And there are 2 sites in Alberta that are being looked at to be recipients of a solar initiative with the province in terms of a sustainable go-forward plan. They want to look at how they can get rid of some carbon credits on a sustainable project, and we are one of those candidates. And we are lobbying hard and fast with Alberta infrastructure to be able to execute on that. So that is something that we need to have conversations with council, because it's inside the municipal boundary. And but it does lead to some phenomenal conversations and partnerships with this province about innovation in a community that has adopted a smart community brand plan. And I'm going to give a little commercial for the brand plan. I think health is a pillar in that plan, as well as education and science and tech, agriculture, jobs, homes, and careers. You guys have copies of that brand plan. Health being a pillar in the plan and us wanting to be a smart community fits well with innovation in this province. If we can latch on to some of these things as we build, you saw dirt at our fundraiser. That is one piece of innovation that is going to make an enormous difference in this facility versus really any other hospital in the province. You saw a wellness component to the diagram you see before you. That particular service delivery model is a high-tech one. Those programs and offerings that bring more to rural, not less, will be transported via Axia's footprint to the Milos of the world. The program is going to go to Milo, Champion, our partners in Carnegie, Lomond, wherever they sit in the county. We want to be able to bring programming to people. So it's a shift in culture to think that instead of people going to the services, we're going to bring the services to the people, okay? This is in concert with a revised healthcare business plan that you'll see Alberta Health Services bring forward in the next 15 years. Okay, there's a business plan out there now that we'll send to you that you can see in electronic form. Part of that offering is that you as a client of the healthcare system will move to a patient-centered first strategy in primary care. This has evolved over a probably 24-month period where the province is moving, they're seeing that the investment they make in primary care, in patient-first strategies, are paying off. But this is a huge cultural shift for Alberta Health Services. They've been on an 8-year journey to clean up their act, let's call it, and move to I'm going to say a business model. They use business in their business plan now instead of just a health plan. It's a business plan for the future. I can tell you as I sit here that Alberta Health Services is celebrating the fact that they have been voted inside the best 100 organizations in Canada. They are in the top 5 largest employers in the country. That's a huge statement. And a number of things that, because I sit with 2 hats, I sit as a vice chair of the Health Advisory Council for Prairie Mountain. I'm privy to some of the information that comes down from the health region that we belong to, the Calgary region. And in that, I will tell you that please do not listen to everything you hear in the media, as it is only a piece of the entire information. No disrespect to the media. But some of those things where, for example, Calgary came out and talked about their surgical mistakes here a week ago. Some of that stuff is because they're transparent with their numbers, and some of the other provinces are not. Okay, so it makes them look bad initially, but you'll see as time goes on that these numbers will play out as the future of where the rest of the provinces want to go. In fact, Alberta was just in Saskatchewan here a week ago at a conference because Saskatchewan wants to adopt the Alberta model. Okay, kind of puts things in perspective in terms of how well they've done in 8 years of moving an incredibly large machine towards a level of efficiency that can be sustainable and acceptable to the ratepayer. So anyway, there are a number of things that you should be aware of in this healthcare plan that are moving forward. I think you'll see that the direction the foundation is taking with this particular campaign in Vulcan is that we support and are probably leading edge in terms of following the strategic plan the province is taking. So the facility that we are building is going to follow the future of where Alberta is going to take healthcare, and that will be our grandchildren's benefit, but in a self-managed health environment. You're going to hear that a lot. Home health, medical home, patient-first strategies, okay? And those are audit trails to everybody's good health. So if guys like me and Tom can stay out of acute care 20 years longer because of this plan, we are going to A, save money, but B, we can take those resources and spend them in other ways that benefit on a deeper level. So it's maintaining healthier populations, and that's where we want to go. Now, how does that affect us in Vulcan County? Because we are building a wellness component to that piece, there are a lot of innovation projects that can follow what we're doing. Am I overtime yet, Kim?
No.
There are a lot of innovative projects that will follow us into delivery in town in that footprint. I can tell you that a lot of our partners in the city want us to do more for people, things that make sense, things that can keep people at home, okay? And whether it's continuity of care or whether it's daily best practice, there are things that we can do more of, and I think Vulcan's going to turn into a model for other rural sites in terms of being strategic about offering more to people locally. I just think that's an enormous benefit. And I think you need to recognize that following the brand plan part of that innovative model is where this community needs to go, okay? I think that there are, and will be, a lot of energy behind that. We're being approached every day with new technology, new expertise, people that want to play, and we haven't even built that building yet. So I think there's, recruitment and retention is going to be, putting together a new facility with new offerings that embrace people in a rural setting. And that's going to challenge us to make sure that we provide, what people want, and we put together different packages. Just today I got an email from somebody doing spinal cord rehab research, wanting to develop a rural strategy for this, because it could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be in Urbania. So from cardiac rehab to spinal cord research, injury rehab, there are a number of opportunities that our community can embrace expertise, and that's going to bring people from outside this community into the community. So what we need as a foundation is to be able to have a voice at this table, to be collaborative about what we do, probably talk more than once a year about, emerging collaborative pieces that, we need to have a voice in, and you need to hear these stories because they will affect possibly your strategies as you go forward. Our next campaign, we don't know what that's going to be, but we want you guys in on the conversation, because you have an ownership piece. It's going to change the way this community develops, and I think it brings strength and sustainability to the landscape, and all those things are, great to talk about, but we want to walk that talk as well. So I want to keep that conversation going. Okay, what else we got? Talked about strategic direction, next campaign. You know what, one of the things I think that resonated in our fundraiser this fall was that you could go in there and there were 30 and unders and there were 50 and overs. And it was a phenomenal way that all those demographics could get together, enjoy not only the messaging that took place, but enjoy seeing Tom in jail as well. But raise some money, have fun, and come together as a community. I think that sense of community we need more of in this area. And I think that this is one project that brings people together from all ages, okay? It's just one of those things that affects everybody in the stream. And it can be a feel-good thing, and we want it to be a feel-good thing. We want people to celebrate the fact that we can come together and be strong as a community.
Sorry.
Turn off his mic.
Yeah.
No, we're
No,
good.
I just think if you went to that event, you would, and Michelle, I know you were there, that you would feel that as you were there we were there till 3 a.m, but I think that's one thing that really resonates with, especially our last fundraisers, that we had all these different age groups come together and enjoy themselves and talk about the commonality of why they were there. And I think that's really, really cool and really important. Let's see. You know what? I think I've hit on most of those things. I gave you an update on our fundraising. I want you to know that we're dovetailing the strategic plan that the Alberta Health Services is taking, and feel good that we're on a pathway to success with this project. Cut ground in April. We really want to make some big noise about that and celebrate that and show people that this is going to put change is inevitable in the community, and this is going to put pressure on that equation, and it's going to develop a new culture in that facility, and I think that's something to be wary of, but celebrate in the same sense. So tonight I threw out a lot there, but I welcome any questions and any comments from you guys. Remember, this is our first campaign and not our last. So, foundations are built on those kinds of things, those sustainable footprints, to find out and do our homework and find out what the next best thing is for us to chew off on. We've got a great team of people. We've got some new trustees knocking on our door, and hey, we want to celebrate this point in time and bring forward some great information, and thank you again for your commitment to this wonderful project.
Anybody have any questions for Scott? Okay. Go ahead, Rob.
So you're breaking ground in April. How long will it take to complete the building?
Well, if you ask Larry Law from Capital Planners, he will tell you 24 months, and then I would say 30. Just to devil's advocate that, but he says 24 months, so I'll take his word on that.
And then,
But that's just phase one.
oh, okay.
That is phase one. That is the new footprint as you see it here. Phase two is going to be as the clinic decants, I'm using their language, from that space. Then phase two will come in there. So it's going to be a long process of renovation in that facility.
Yeah.
That'll take its toll on people.
I figure 5 years, I think, is what I was kind of told, depending on how, because they got to move one out before they can move
Yeah,
the.
it's a strategic move.
It is.
I mean,
if
if
the
you
one
look
that's.
at home, sorry, Tom.
I was going to say the one that's going to be the one that's going to feel like an orphan for a while is the one that has to move out of the
Public health,
public
home
health.
care,
Sorry,
yeah.
yeah, public health.
So they're gonna find either space downtown for them to temporarily move into, or portables, or some kind of an equation where they can, because they've got to decant that right away.
Yeah, because they're going to be the orphans of the group because they really need that space that they have. That,
Right.
But
So it's going to be a bit of a challenge in terms of just logistics and things inside the building.
But when we were at the convention, AHS had I think it was AHS, had a booth there. And when I went by, they caught me and they said, well, Vulcan is one of the two, and the problems that it's going to get this new technology right away. But I thought it had something to do with the cancer side, but I could be wrong on that one. I meant to bring the brochure that they gave me, but.
And see when you talk about technology, there's a shift towards, they called it CIS, and now they've changed the name of it, called Connect Care. And it's part of a patient portal piece. And that's part of a patient first strategy that you'll see, where you can eventually be able to go in and look at your look at your x-rays, look at your medical history, maybe even have a conversation with your medical home, your whatever physician you're using at that point in time. And it'll greatly enhance the patient experience, okay? And that's really going to be driven in a results-based world for Alberta Health Services. That is really a focal point for that. So in reality, what they're trying to do is reduce 1,360 software platforms down to less than 250 right now in the province. It's Herculean.
Anyway, that's great. Anything
Wonderful.
else?
So you're saying this is 4.5 for this first part. Is the next part going to be picked up by it because it's the movement of things? Is that picked up by AHS?
That's the understanding in the agreement that we have with them, is that phase two is their responsibility.
And do you have any numbers on that one?
Depends what they want to do, I guess.
It doesn't really matter as long as they're paying?
Yeah, no, I mean, they said it was between maybe $2 and $3 million. So it depends what phase two looks like, finished phase two.
Okay, anything else? Well, thank you very much for taking the time to come, Council, and appreciate all the work the foundation has done to bring this project to fruition, and the other projects that you guys, I mean, appreciate, this is one you've been talking about, but all the other little things that you guys have been doing,
The Heritage Wall, there's information in there, a new packages I put together, just some
Did it-
background
did it-
on the Heritage
did-
Wall. And
did it fly completely?
we kind of need to have
Few
a
more.
certain amount of names
Yeah.
for full commitment, but there's a huge amount of interest.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of vested interest in the community from families that have been here for a very long time.
And I think that, I think I mentioned it once before to Scott, that, whenever anything goes in the ground, I think that, even then, there's more interest in it by the public,
Right, and we're not on a deadline per se as far as to have
Yeah, the numbers.
interest,
Yeah.
because we are that far out. So it's definitely, it's a popular concept for a lot of people, so I don't think it's gonna be an issue.
And
I put, also there's the 2016 annual report and the 2017, just for the new members who may have not seen that. The legacy brochure and their fundraising, so just so you get an idea of kind of how we execute things, if you're not familiar.
Okay, no, again, thank you very much
And
for
any other information, just give us a call.
taking the time to come visit us, and we appreciate that. Anytime, just give them a holler.
Just keep the conversation going. so.
You betcha. No,
Okay,
sounds good.
thank you very much.
Thanks. And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the council meeting if you like.
We gotta get out there and fundraise, Tom. Well played, Scott.
Yeah, that sounds pretty.
You gotta get out there and work on
All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
thank
Thanks
you
for
very
being
much.
here too. Okay, moving on to,
Don't forget your sheet.
oh, was there something you want?
Just that.
No,
Just a minute.
yeah,
Thank you, Gail.
thanks again.
See you guys. Thank you.
You betcha. Okay, moving on to adoption of agenda. Is there any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, somebody wish to move the agenda? Lyle? Any question on Lyle's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, the minutes. Any questions on the minutes? If not, somebody, oh, George Lee, I think, thank you.
Ladies first.
Well, she was a little faster than you were too, so. Any question on George Lee's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, moving on to amendment of policy PU 05, which is the Virginia Mitchell Memorial Campground. This one here was before the previous council. There was some questions and conditions. And so it was made, and so there should be a draft one in front of us. Any questions or? Okay,
So when we looked at this in September, the council passed the amendments to it, but they wanted to entertain a discussion of having weekly and monthly rates in our campground, and also the addition of fire pits. So what you saw later in the meeting for the rates and fees bylaw, this covers off on that to allow for adding a weekly and monthly rate. We looked at several campgrounds in our area to get the rates that we put in the rates and fees bylaw. And for the amendments to this policy itself, it used to be just one bullet point at all policy. We of course split it up into the 4 different categories now, so that it's a little bit easier to follow. And the new number 4 is completely to deal with the fire end. And we haven't purchased pits or anything, just wait for council's approval if you'd like to move forward with it.
I'll make the motion. Oh, did you have a question or did you want to move?
I was just wondering, but if he wants to.
Paul beat you, so.
I
That's pretty
question,
close.
I
Time going around the table.
Anyway, okay, so Paul moves this one. Any question on Paul's motion? Anything on this, Tom? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, Twin Valley Water Commission's MOU.
Does this give us, is 3 years adequate time to?
I checked with Stu and he thought so.
And will we glean anything, do you think?
It's really hard to say. There's a lot of material in there, so.
Not necessarily.
But you know, either way, like if for some reason, we would be responsible for 75% of the bill anyway,
So might as well do the whole thing.
you know, we might as well try and save as much and utilize the staff and their expertise and glean as much out of it as possible. The only thing I would suggest that they do, I don't know if they're doing it, but when they start to take copper out, is that they
They'll straighten.
lock it up and
Oh,
every
yeah,
night
yeah.
inside the building. Because I know that there's people that figure out where it is and then they go and
salvage it.
break in and steal it. So after they go all that work,
Stripping
out,
everything, yeah.
they should try and lock it as much as they can.
That'll pass that.
So anyway, any other questions on this? It's just really quite straightforward. I did think that, you know, they would give us that length of time, but that's great. I don't think it'll take them that long. I think they've got a good go on starting their fall thoughts on how they're gonna handle it, so.
Okay, I so move this one.
Okay, thank you, Lorna. Any questions on this at all? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, the communication lease agreement.
This came up while we were in, at the AUMA. They sent back another proposal. Council, past council had looked at this and they made recommendation to stay at the current rate and to allow for the extension of 2 more terms. They seem to have taken it back and offered a whole brand new offer. Going back to the original lease agreement, it is a 5-year lease that does not expire until May 1st, 2019. So based on your discussion today, I will respond to MD7 on behalf of council. You don't have to accept any of it. The very last clause just says that does not constitute a binding offer to amend the lease. Participation in the program is optional.
And how much was our rent, or what are we getting for rent now?
We are getting $666.66 a month, which works out to $8,000 a year. So still a significant reduction. I put together the numbers, and option number 1, by adding the additional term, if we stayed at the original 666 for the 4 terms that we had originally worked out to 159,000. By doing this one and the additional of another 5 years, we will be at 163,000 for the total term over 30 years. So it's not, they're basically using it as a wash with adding extra time.
They're certainly not very generous with their escalator clause.
No, and based on this, I have talked to the other 2 other towers owners in the area, and they do say that the renewal is based on market rate. Market rate is formed on similar sites in the vicinity of it. So by all talking together, and we are the market rate. So whatever we decide to lease at, so.
So currently we're at the market.
Well, currently we signed for $8,000 a year, and it was for a 5-year term, and after 5 years, they can come and ask for a new rate.
But 8,000.
They came 3,000, they came 3 years, after 3 years, and their first proposal was for a 43% reduction in lease payments. And they have a prime spot of industrial land. This is the tower that's in behind John Deere.
So if we turn this new one down, they still have to pay us for the 5 years.
Right, we have an agreement for the 5 years.
Yeah,
And that's up in 19, you said?
yes, May of 2019.
And then they have choices of either renegotiating or finding a new location. And moving.
Again, when past council reviewed the first, it was to deny the decrease in the lease and to extend another 2 terms as they had asked. With this one, again, depending on what stance you take from your discussion, an easy solution is to not negotiate until the 60 days before the renewal, which is what the original agreement stated in it, was that 60 days prior to renewal, they would send out a new lease rate and give council time to respond. And so this is a secondary company to Rogers. These letters aren't coming from Rogers directly. They're coming from a consulting firm, MD7.
Are they doing this just because the climate right now, the economy is a bit down and they think we'll be willing to?
I would assume so. They probably feel like, I mean, if you read into it, it says that, you know, the things have changed in the telecommunication industry and that they believe that this is probably fair, but again, like Kim says, they have other towers around and our rates are fair compared to the other ones, so.
I looked into it again, the other towers. We were the first to be approached. The second just got approached, and the third wasn't sure whether he'd got a letter yet or not. And I compared the rates that of all three, and they are very comparable to each other. They're all within $1,000. One of the concerns is that for the one further south is he had comparable to when they put the windmills in, and they were paying more than what he signed his lease for. So his comparable were the windmills, and he didn't quite get to that level, but then found out through our conversations that we were all fairly close. So again, looking into market rate, and they don't clearly define, I think council should wait for Rogers themselves to want to amend the agreement, because it says that they will abide by the agreement. Wait for Rogers to send a new lease and justify what their market rate is. Because again, if when everybody signed, that was the market rate, might be different today than it will be in May of 2019.
So maybe they should talk to us in 2019.
Well, that would be the suggestion, or one of the suggestions is we could pick either A or B here, or option 1 and 2, or stick with what we've got and, you know, direct administration to let them know that, you know, we're willing to stick with our existing lease agreement until 2019 and then entertain it at that time. So those are the three proposals.
Because if it goes bust at the end of 5 years, it was probably gonna go bust with both of these options too.
I would think so. I think so. I think that I mean, they've got a fair amount invested in not leaving that site and have to find another site and reset up and switch over and then come up and, but, you know.
And it is industrial land, like
Yeah.
it does.
Do we need a motion?
I need-
Do we need a motion?
we need a motion
We need
to
a motion to
accept
whatever
1,
you like.
2, or
Direct
direct
administration to
administration
respond.
respond with our existing lease agreement.
I make a motion that probably stay with where we're at, and we looked at it in
2019, direct administration to contact MD7.
Okay, any question on Lyle's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, thank you. Moving on to cash statement ending October 31st. Is there any questions on the cash statement?
Are we in the same place, or are we in the place that we should be at this point?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Someday you'll say no and I'll go, oh my gosh.
I'll move on to receive for information.
All moves for information. Any question on Paul's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, year to date.
You gonna ask the same question, Warren? You're good at it.
Yes.
I don't see any wild colors on here, I figure it's okay.
Yeah, we've got 2 more months, and unfortunately, you know, we're always usually a bit of a closer to a month behind because of the way everything works in the system, but if you kind of go through each line or have gone through some of the lines, the numbers aren't anything substantial that looks weird or,
I have a question.
Yes.
The golf course loan, is that how much we have left owing on it, is 71,000?
you know,
No,
No?
it's only,
sorry, that's what we've paid so far this year.
yeah,
Okay.
our loan payment's the 84,864 for a year.
For a year. We pay about $8,000 a month.
You've got about 11 more years to go,
I think a little more
A
than
little
that.
bit more, I think it's
or 12.
12 something, 12 or 13,
Yeah.
17. Yeah.
But once it's done, it's done.
It was a 25-year project.
I'll move this.
Okay,
Information?
Marta moves for information. Any other questions on any of the lines that? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, miscellaneous correspondence, there's just one.
I made note on the bottom, this is covered under policy F06, it's a reoccurring grant. Well, we require a letter every year and their financial statements for the ones that are ongoing. And the ones that are ongoing for the new council, you can go on the policy and see what the criteria for each one of them are. But rainbow literacy, the rainbow literacy, the Vulcan Legion, the daycare, victim services. I know I'm gonna forget one, but those are our reoccurring every year that we just, we give them a grant for operations.
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce, that's right, we subsidize the membership. Sorry, thank you, John.
That's
I
okay.
knew I was gonna forget one.
Also move that we give them the 5,000.
We don't need a motion.
You don't need it?
It's already done in per
Okay.
policy, this is just to let you know that their
That it's
letter is
coming
coming in
out,
for
yeah.
2018.
And if for some reason you want to see their financial statement, you can
They're
come in,
available, and
they're
that's,
available too.
that's why I put that there.
So if you want to move to file correspondence,
Sure. I'll move it.
George,
For
will you?
information.
Any question on George's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, moving on to committee and administrative reports. So there's 5 of them, I guess, sorry, that have been handed in. So the first one is the first VBDS meeting. Any questions on any of the? Okay, moving on to the second VBDS special meeting. Okay, moving on to the Chamber of Commerce.
Something like Vulcan.
Okay. Golf course.
Are these their minutes?
Yeah. For their executive meeting
Oh,
on
Yeah.
the 21st.
Yeah, they,
I thought-
In
First
their-
I
in
thought it was
their-
just the agenda.
in their previous minutes, they'd had a conversation about the details that were in their minutes, so they've gone to a very brief minute form.
Okay, moving on to the NPC.
And as Lyle pointed out, he did not adjourn the meeting because he was in Calgary.
That's the unfortunate thing about cut and paste.
And we all do it.
Oh, you betcha. No, that's easy to do. Okay, so any questions on any of those? If not, we'll start with Paul and go around that direction.
Other than NBC, basically what I've had is fire. We're moving towards appointing a new district fire chief, which would be this district. We're starting to work on budgets, that sort of thing. Very interesting trying to put something together from nothing. And I'm gonna have to sit down with you, Ken, in the next year or two, with a couple of questions. And that's about all I've done. Oh yeah, I went to the same thing, Calgary.
Yeah, you'll get an opportunity to discuss AUA further into, so. Okay, any questions for Paul? Okay, George Lee.
I didn't have anything. There was an FCSS meeting on Thursday night, but I didn't get any information about it. I don't know if Lorna's still on the list for the mail out or I'm on
It
the
came to me
list.
and I should have forwarded it to you,
I
I'm
would.
sorry.
And then I got an email this morning from Carol saying it was a great meeting on Thursday night and thank you for all the wonderful ideas. So I don't know who went in my place, but, and so I haven't had anything else.
Okay. Well,
Well, as you can see in the minutes for the Chamber of Commerce meeting, there's, between the Chamber and VBIT, they've received a grant, which they're already a year into. There was a delay because they had one employee working for the Chamber and also a different president when they started, and there was just with the turnover, it's put them behind, but they've hired Carmen Peltier and her husband to work on this downtown revitalization and contingency plan. They're going to be talking with the different businesses one-on-one to see what this looks like to them, what their priorities are, if it's getting people through the door, if it's having a consistent look throughout the community, or if it's what to do in case of an emergency, because we know what's happened in High River. I don't think we'll be getting any floods here, but it could be a tornado or anything like that. So, or if there's a main water break on Main Street, how do we get people still to come into the businesses? So they're going to be working on that, meeting with individual businesses, not just chamber members, but all the businesses downtown and the owners of the buildings that the businesses are in, because some people are renting. And just to see what kind of an uptake they're going to be getting on that. And they've got till November 2018 to come back with a plan for that. So I'll be keeping the chamber, I'll be keeping council up to date on the progress of that. And that's all I have at this time.
okay, any questions for Lyle? If not, we'll move on to Laura.
I had a VBIT meeting and they were saying that council meetings are averaging 15 viewers per meeting. Don't know if that's changed, but that's what it was for October, 198 minutes. And there was some question whether we could connect the VTV where people can watch it to the town site for ease of access for some people. I also had a library meeting the same day. The logo's complete. They've received $1,000 from Black Spring Ridge. I'm not sure exactly who they are, but they share. The Christmas hours have been set. They had their escape room November 24th, 25th, and I believe this weekend, December 2nd. I haven't heard how it went, but got my fingers crossed that they did well.
Okay, any questions for Laura?
Just an observation, Black Spring Ridge is the windmill farm.
Okay. I will make a note so I know what I'm talking about.
And they also are 970 acres of solar park for that area too. It hasn't been in place yet, but
Okay.
assume they'll announce that this soon.
They've contributed a large amount of grant funding to the community over the last several years.
Right, yeah. In fact, I think there are things on Thursday night for
Yes,
the,
conflicts.
so, okay. Michelle?
I haven't had any meetings, but there is kind of a lot of going back and forth right now, planning a special meeting with the BDS and kind of working out some of the logistics of that. So that's going to be upcoming this week, as well as organizing with the BSU Christmas party and that kind of thing. So.
Okay. Well,
I had the special meeting for VBDS and AUMA conference, so.
Mr. Foth.
We've been, of course, I attended the AUMA, so I relied heavily on just Karen to put the agenda package together, so. We've been working on several of the, again, back and forth with this lease agreement with Rogers, trying to do the homework on that. I had a conversation with Mr. Curry today about 402 Center Street, the burnt house, and he now has the estate in his name, and demolition permit is pending. He's working with the insurance company because the day he says to go ahead with the insurance, then he's on the hook for having everything in place. They're gonna come take down the fencing, he needs to line up snow removal for the sidewalks, and he was doing all that today. So we've got him squared away with where they are with the taxes, gave him some contact information for snow removal. He has been in contact with contractors, getting prices for the demolition. He was very reluctant to put a date on anything, but was he strongly hinted that as soon as possible things were going to start there. So that was pretty nice news to hear, and the rest was just business as usual, just trying to catch up. We're getting things ready, putting final touches on the budget so that we can bring it forward in December for your approval. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, the house there, would the taxes stay the same, like even though it's burnt and nobody lives in it
No,
or whatever?
It's reassessed,
Okay,
and it was reassessed with the damage.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Kim?
Sorry, not in regards to that, Kim, but going back to the chamber report, it was brought up at the meeting that if possibly the people that were viewing this, if possibly you could do like a Reader's Digest version of the thing, so if not everyone wants to watch the whole 90-minute version.
Yeah, they did mention it when Carmen was in, and I was going to see what I could put together.
Yeah, we have had that discussion too, a little bit too, with, on that process, whether we should do it, a counselor do it or whatever, but the biggest problem we find with that is that, what might be a highlight to one of us is not potentially a highlight to the person that's watching it, so. So at that point in time, I think council kind of felt that, a Reader's Digest version is great, but on the other hand, I appreciate we're fortunate enough to have the newspaper here and they do a Reader's Digest version of what is on the whole thing too. So I'm not sure. I mean, I guess which is the best, but something to consider. Maybe it's a topic we could throw on our agenda for February.
Oh, yeah.
To discuss it in more detail, and by then some of you guys that are new will have a bit of an opportunity to see what you think too, so. Okay, anything else for Kim? Okay, I've had nothing either, other than, the few things that, with the AUMA too, and This week is a busy one because we've got Sewa coming up, Black Spring, then next weekend is the holiday train, so. So those are probably the only few things that I haven't had a ton of stuff on the agenda. Okay, anything else? If not, somebody wish to move the presentations? Laura? I saw your hand go up too loud. Should we check? Any question on Laura's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, so now we're moving on to the fees, rates and fees bylaw. This one here, everybody should have had an opportunity to read it prior to coming out in the minutes, prior to the meeting and stuff, so that you had an opportunity to go through it and see. Like Kim said, some of the stuff has been adopted and added into it because of some of our pre-budget planning, and then also the new rates for the parks has been implemented into it too, so it's fairly self-explanatory. It's
Provided council with the highlighted versions that you can see all the changes, and I didn't receive any feedback, so.
Just a little thing, there's a couple of typos.
Okay. You point them out, I'll fix them.
Council and staff for remuneration,
Okay.
it's REI for reimbursement,
Oh, okay.
and then the same in the next section, numbers at large.
Okay, perfect.
Those are the only ones I picked out.
okay. Anything else? Okay, so this one here needs 4 motions, 3 for the reading and 1 for to introduce the third. So, is anybody interested in moving the first? Lorna? Any question on Lorna's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, second reading. Lyle? Any question on Lyle's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Somebody wish to introduce the third, George Lee? Okay, so this one here has to be unanimous. Any question on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And then the introduction of the third.
Third reading.
For the third, I'm sorry, third readings. Thank you. It's Paul. Okay, any questions on Paul's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna move on to the business license bylaw. So it's kind of self-explanatory again. They reviewed it, tried to come up with some changes for it. Most of them are fairly minor.
So they provided an admin report stating the reasons for the changes and defining what they had changed in it. We've had the bylaw for quite some time. This just brings it up to date, and we are going to, because of our transition to the rates and fees bylaw and rewriting all the policies, we now have to start doing bylaws. Bylaws are a lot more motions, but they are what we can act on our policies and act on our other bylaws. So this is the first of many.
Home catalog business is like Avon, selling Avon or
Yes.
Scentsy or something?
Yeah, all, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anything else in there that?
I just had a question, like when I was reading through this, organizations that it's not applicable to, are these, like for real estate, we don't need a business license, but that's because of the province?
That's the professional designation that,
Yeah,
the
lawyers.
list that's provided by the province.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then these are all, is that what it's, I guess these are all consistent with the rest of the province and
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you go to any municipality, they have the same thing, where you have very, very similar. Like the ones I have at Nanton, Clarisol, everywhere. The rates are different substantially. we're substantially cheaper than anybody else, substantially, but,
So when Nancy and Justin were going through this, they did the comparisons too. And to be completely honest, a lot of times we take the templates from another community that is the closest to what we'd like to see, and then we add the changes to. Or we take our template and then add the adjustments that way, so.
and some of the terminology has changed over time, so like what Lorna had said, questioned on, one might have been one that's called hawkers, but it's, or peddlers, and some of those terminologies have been changed a little bit to be more in line with what happens today. Okay, any other questions on the? Okay, Paul moves the first reading. Any question on Paul's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Second reading. Lorna? Any question on Lorna's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Introduction of third. George Lee? Any question on George Lee's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, the third reading. Lyle. Okay, any question on Lyle's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to policy C11, which is the nonprofit community group storage. So this is the storage behind the town shop or north of the town shop. Is there any questions or concerns about the policy?
What color are they going to be? I don't think it matters, but I did see it said that it was going to be consistent.
Yes, I believe the ones that Nancy looked at were a tan color
Yeah.
or a light blue, and it was depending on the supplier. So the first one's kind of going to dictate that, I believe.
And I believe it's a 10.
It's a tan.
There, our bylaw says that they should, match the
Landscape?
the landscape, yeah, or the area that they're in, so if you have a blue building, that they could be blue.
Blue pin.
Or if they're, so if you look around, some that are permanent, now, we'll go after them to paint them and make them so that they match in with the, so.
I would get a color number.
The suppliers do have that, so.
When will they first start bringing them in?
As soon as we can get some fence up and all of the policies and that kind of stuff.
Did I miss a spot in here, or is there anything that states that you can't have anything, like sort of propane tanks can't be?
It's in there.
But you can't, like, have your, gas container inside?
Yeah, so, no, so, through there, no, I believe it's in the,
I think it's down a little further.
in the inside the containers itself, there's, the dangerous goods is covered off on there.
Oh, so I missed it.
Little condition, signage, storage.
It was dark
You're talking
bold
about
print right
3.5.
there. No, sort of like that one at the top.
Oh, and we may have put it in the actual
Contract, maybe
the
it was in the
contract
contract,
itself.
yeah.
Because 3.5 here says items not suitable for outside storage include but are not limited to building materials, tires, structures, and propane tanks.
Yeah, that's for outside the tank, but
Okay.
inside the structures themselves, we also didn't want combustibles. I think we may
I
have put
think
it
it might be in there.
in here.
It was about 2 or 3 line bold print. Yeah,
Oh, right there, storage of right at the bottom, hazardous, dangerous goods, illegal, stolen, environmentally harmful, explosive, are all prohibited from being on site. So, and that's on the actual contract they have to sign. So
Okay, thank you.
we could add it to the policy, that's why we're bringing it forward, it's for amendment, so we could definitely add a line under 212 for that.
A lot of your people don't read
The policy
policy,
itself, they
but
read their contract.
If they put in their name to a piece of paper.
But it wouldn't hurt to have it in both places.
No, quite agree.
So what we'll do, if acceptable to council, is we'll take the storage of hazardous and dangerous goods, that line verbatim, and we will make it 212 for amendment, then you can pass this as amended.
I think that would just be some extra security.
Clear. Because this is what will be available online. So, if you're good with that, I can amend that.
Okay.
I'll move it as amended.
Well, or Paul moves as amended. Any question on Paul's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, the next one is the MOU with the RCMP. Should have got a copy of it, it's a large document through your login.
You can see from Justin's report that they just updated the contact information and the dates. It's a 5-year renewable when we currently have one that expires at the end of this year.
But the rest remains the same.
The entire document is the same.
So is K Division all of Alberta? Okay.
And that gentleman that spoke at the convention, he's in charge of that K Division.
But that's when he said out of Edmonton's, because I always thought it was just Calgary and stuff.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Somebody
Do
wish-
we need to bring up any grammatical or spelling here in that?
The MOU itself?
5.1?
Oh, omissions, number ones? I can do that.
Okay, anything else? Somebody wish to move it? Lyle? Any question on Lyle's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, the next one is the CAO's evaluation. For those of you that haven't been around a bit, according to the MGA, it's law that we have to do an evaluation of the CAO's position every year. What we have done is, a few years ago, we looked at half a dozen different ones, and this one here, I can't remember what they call it.
360.
360 evaluation, thank you. And what it is there's a document what it looks like, and it asks a bunch of questions, and then they rate it. And so what we usually in the past have done is we've done it public. So we'll pick 2 or 3 people in the public, give them to them, and staff. So I get permission from Kim to give them to the staff. And then
We pick the good ones.
councillors. So all the councillors will get an opportunity to do this. So then what they do is you hand it in to Karen or to me, and then I do all the numbers, and then Karen or the staff take and they do any comments, and they put them in. So then once we get all the ratings and do all the number crunching on it, then we have a meeting with Kim, go over pros and cons, and the evaluation's done. Kim is the only one that we evaluate as councillors. He's our only employee, and then he does the same with his staff, except for he doesn't do a 360. I'm not sure if that's what you folks want to do. You know, the three new councillors have never had an opportunity to do this, but their other councillors have. And like I said, I usually try and pick somebody else out in the public, so, you know, that haven't picked on. And, you know, sometimes we try and pick somebody that's had, you know, dealings with Kim that, you know, might be more controversial, you know, type thing. Yeah, we're on camera. And so then, you know, we do the rating on, so we just, and then
Timing on this will be just.
that's the only thing is, we have to do it soon. We need it done sooner than later, the test, so. If that's agreeable, we will start it, so we will need a motion to do this evaluation with Kim. Paul, Bruce?
I'm quite comfortable with the process.
Okay, so everybody in the room will get a copy of this, and then Karen will give me 6 other ones, and I will give them to the staff after I ask Kim's permission. And then I'll pick 3 people in the public. And like I said, you can either give them back to me or give them to Karen. Karen just puts them in an envelope, and then she gives them to me when we get them all done in. And we usually ask for them to be done within a week. So.
You'll do it by next Monday,
By the end of the week, yeah. It'd be nice.
end of this week.
Yeah, it'd be nice by Friday if we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could I scan it if I have to go
When you,
Wednesday afternoon?
pardon me?
Wednesday afternoon,
You got tomorrow.
you know, but I have 6,000 things on there, but
Yeah.
I will do it, yes.
Yeah,
I'll
the
make
sooner
sure
we can
so.
get it, yeah, if you can, yeah.
The only reason is the alignment of council meetings, because most likely at the December 11th meeting, you will cancel the 25th, so I would guess.
So then we can have the meeting with Kim.
Yeah, okay, I'll, if I
Unless
could
there's
get
a
that
whole
tonight,
discussion.
I could.
Sure, yeah, we'll get it. Oh, here. There, you can have,
Oh, she needs one, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because we're gonna go in camera, and if you just leave them on my desk, I can give them to everybody.
okay, so Paul made the motion to do this evaluation. Any question on it? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, moving on to 217 AUMA. I asked Kim to throw this one on. It's in Red Deer next year, and we need to get on it to decide if we're gonna all go or who wants to go. And I know it's a year away, but if we don't, we'll have problems finding hotel rooms and getting going on it. So I'm not sure what anybody wants to discuss the pros and cons of what they saw or what they didn't, and what you felt or how you felt or whatever. So, want to go around the room? We'll start with you, Lorna, or?
Well, I was just wondering how the new councillors felt about it. I mean, I have my opinion that I think we should go all the time, just because I think that keeps us in the loop, but that's my opinion, but I just wondered about the new councillors. How, did they feel it was worthwhile? Did they think it was just so-so?
Personally, I mean, I think that it was phenomenal as a new member to kind of go in, and there was a lot of really valuable resources, a lot of really valuable networking as well, talking to the communities that, you know, maybe have the same programs going on, or, you know, hey, this works really well, this doesn't, or even just being able to kind of pick their brains and have that in your back pocket. And then the courses as well were like extremely beneficial for someone new, in my personal opinion.
I agree with Michelle 100%. I think a lot of it will be even more relevant next year when we've got that much more experience.
All right. Lon?
Oh, I'm in agreement. I mean, it was a good start to learning, but it's gonna be even more applicable next time we go, because then you can relate a little bit more, and plus the people that you meet. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel, we just exchange ideas.
Okay. Arjun?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think every year that I've gone, I've learned something new that I didn't know before. And that's, yeah, I'm for it.
And each breakout session, you might find this one boring, but you're picking something from each session that's of value.
Okay.
I'm all in favor.
So I guess the next question is, and I know it's a, Kim, did you,
Just wanted to add that for new counselors, we do have a policy that does allow for council to go to to that convention. That's the only one that is very specifically mentioned. So for everyone to go again, you don't have to make a motion, but you do need to make a motion for booking rooms, that sort of thing.
that's right. So
And
I
arranging
guess
to
what
go
I'm
to the
kind
next one.
of going from too, I always enjoyed it. I've always tried to promote the members of council to go as much as they could. Some years they haven't been able to or whatever, but you know, the advantage of booking early is that we get a place. The advantage of being able to say, no, I've got something planned for that weekend, that week, you know, those days, then we have to change, you know, so we can cancel out. But on the other hand, I think there's a huge advantages to everybody going. I'm in favor of everybody going personally, but you know, for all the years that I've been on, I've tried to make sure that we participate in as much as we can. So
I suspect the setting for Red Deer is going to be more diffuse. Like the hotels are further away.
yeah, I think so. I don't think that it's going to be as easy. I think we're going to use the shuttles or drive back and forth from the site to the hotels. But again, I think what they're going to try and do, because of being a 4-year now, is do a 1 year in Calgary. Usually the first year has always been in Calgary because of the size of the convention. The second year, they're going to, you know, pick a location, something like the Red Deer. The third will be in Edmonton, and then the fourth will be back, you know, either into Calgary or another location. So, you know, I remember, I swear that we had one in Banff 1 year when Dave Mitchell was the mayor. I'm positive I had a discussion with somebody from Red Deer, and he saw definitely it was never in Banff. He figures that was the FCM, but I don't remember ever going to an FCM conference, but maybe I did. Maybe it was an FCM one in Red Deer, in Banff. But anyway, Red Deer's got a beautiful setting. I think it's going to be great, and so I guess what I'm trying to do is kind of get a straw poll to say, is everybody interested in going, and kind of pencil it in for those days in September.
And we'll just direct administration to register as soon as possible.
Michelle?
One thing that was really, just as another aside, when the agendas first came out, like Laura and I sat down and said, okay, you know, to be the most beneficial, you know, each of us take different ones, and then even through the whole thing, get together and then say, okay, this will help with mine, this will help with yours. So it kind of expanded the knowledge base on that side of it too.
Right. And you know, in previous years too, we've tried to sit down and you know, pick a council meeting that's, you know, we don't have a couple things in camera, and go over some of the things. So, you know, maybe next council meeting or one in January or whatever, if you can kind of think of some of the things, highlights of some of the ones that you went to, and then pros and cons, and you know, some of us have doubled up on some of them,
But I bet you'll find out, even if there were two there, each heard different things.
Probably.
Free it takes.
Okay, so straw poll, everybody in?
Mhm.
Okay, so you can count on all of us. I
Okay,
guess.
do you want to make a motion to direct administration to register for the Red Deer AUMA conference for all councilors as soon as possible?
Okay, Paul moves that.
Said that a little quick, but I got it jotted down.
Any
Sorry,
question
better
on-
myself.
Any question on Paul's motion?
Can you please confirm the dates? Was it
Uh,
28th and 29th?
Yes, I'll,
Yeah, I can-
Oh, you
I think
don't.
I don't have it off the top of my head.
Pardon me?
I think September 25th is the start.
Like a Tuesday. I was just gonna mark it down, so.
we'll send out a.
Yeah, we'll
I can-
send out a reminder as soon as possible.
So, Paul's motion, any discussion on Paul's motion?
I'll have-
Hearing none, all in favor? That's okay. Okay, so for everybody that was there too, you had an opportunity to see what wearing our outfit does. Any feedback on that? You know, I buy into the concept. I don't wear my ears, but I buy into the concept that we should wear them. Matter of fact, you saw I wore it for the second day, and I never did it to make anybody else look, you know, out of place. But I thought, oh, what the heck, you know? It's surprising how many people do come up to me, isn't it? You know, it's you know, when you have the mayor of the city of Calgary asking for you to be with him to take a picture instead of the other way around, it does show that there is a large interest in what we do and how we portray ourselves.
City of Edmonton said it the year before, so.
That's right. Now, we had a bit of a discussion. Kim wore an outfit that was different than the rest of us, and that one's a little easier to get one. And I know that the staff have been trying to look into different types of, you know, like the ones that, the other ones are custom made. They were made, theoretically tailor-made for, you know, the person that was measured up for that day and fit. But, and we have we're trying to find somebody that could either make one and then get a price on it, or we could purchase one, someone that Kim has. So I'm not sure if anybody has any thoughts on which.
I think those are great, maybe as a second day one or something, but I still think a little more formal one for the first day that we could wear would be great. And they may have to be made, because I'm not sure there is such a thing out there.
Well, Juan and Joan have both been kind of looking into some, and the problem with some of them is they're and that was when I walked around. There was only one person that said, "I like your costume," and that's the problem with some of them, is their costume quality. I mean, the ones that we have are a little better than costume quality. You know, I'm not saying that some of them don't need to be upgraded because they're starting to show the wear and tear and they don't fit us because they were fit for somebody else. But I think you're right, Lorna. I think that we personally, I know, you know, both Juan and Joan have been kind of looking into seeing if they can find a tailor, somebody to make an outfit for us, and not cost us an arm and a leg yet. And I agree. You know, I would have no problems. And that you know, the one that I was wearing was the original. David's, when as the mayor, his had white on it. His was a real true commander one, and then the rest of us had that one, and then we had the second set made, and which was a little bit lighter, but still not as light as. And so some of us have used them a lot for parades, and to try and show off, but. That might be one method too, is that, you know, we get something for one day and then something for a second day, you know, a little lighter, a little less expensive.
The price point on the one that I was wearing was about $36, so
It was really
you could easily get that for everybody out there.
So anyway,
Sorry, I was just gonna say, at least where I was, and the people I ran into, I would say we had way more people this year approaching us and asking for pictures or commenting than, and I mean, it has been quite a bit each year, but I really felt this year was quite outstanding.
yeah,
And actually, the one section we were in, there were some ladies from Clive sitting behind us. And when Lauren and I went in and sat down, and the one gal went forward and she said, "I really like your outfits." She said, "We've been waiting to run into you guys," because she said, "We've heard all about you before we ever got here."
yeah.
And she
Pretty
was,
cheap ad.
yeah, she was quite excited.
I was commenting, Kim, that if I took the previous, say, 3 years, I probably got 3 times as much attention this year as previously combined.
I would say so too.
Yeah.
There's more and more groups wearing their hockey jerseys too, which
Yeah.
really lends to, that's what they have to grab a hold of to promote their community.
Right.
So it's pretty fortunate that we have
This is unique.
something that's not a hockey jersey.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, not to knock the communities that do wear the hockey jersey either, but I think that, you know, it is a little classier look. You know, and I know that, you know, they say that for the convention it's snappy casual, or, you know, but yet you see quite a variety of different, you know, outfits that people wear, and you can see how some of them look theoretically more impressive than others, and I think we fit into the more impressive looking category. So if that's agreeable, we will still keep looking into seeing what we can find, and
There's a seamstress that comes into the store all the time. She just left some cards. If you want, I can get you one.
Absolutely, that would be great,
Yeah.
Laura, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's hard to find somebody that can, you know, make it from scratch too.
I can ask a few questions, see what I
Sure.
can find out.
Yeah, and I know Jones and Wanda have been looking into other, you know, like Lethbridge, Calgary, and contact a few around to see if they can find somebody, you know, that's
Might
great.
be a little bit easier if we can find someone here also
You
for
betcha.
fittings and such. Hey?
Yeah, you betcha, sounds good. Okay, any other questions on that? You know, just, I appreciate everybody wearing it on the Wednesday, it was great, and I just think that, you know, it just showed how much attention we do get.
We have a picture that we could send with Jasmine.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on that? Okay, now we'll move on to 11.4, which is the 25-year capital equipment replacement program, which, you know, council has adopted. And so this year, they're looking for a gravel truck and a half-ton. And so Stu from Public Works is recommending that we proceed with this. It is budgeted for.
We're gonna fix his memos from autocorrect into your name.
Oh, okay, that doesn't matter. From your name, doesn't matter really, though. Anyway, and so he's recommending that we get the tender documents ready so that they can go out right away, and so that they can be ready to open because of the time frame.
Yeah, his big one again is the time frame for the gravel truck, because of course we use it right away. And they're talking about quite a long lead time to purchase that, so. This is, again, dependent on the approval of the budget, but of course that money has been put away. There is money sitting in reserve for these purchases already, so.
Okay, so any questions on this? Lorna moves it. Any question on Lorna's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Again, we'll go more in depth in the, on how we came up with the 25 and when we meet in February or whatever month we do pick for that planning session. Okay, moving on to 11.5, the Municipal Planning Commission member replacement. Lorna? Moves that we appoint Sue Dow.
Since she didn't even see the ad, I had to tell her, so.
But she does have previous experience.
Well, I know
Yeah,
she
sure.
did, that's why I thought, I couldn't believe she hadn't seen it.
Yeah, and so this will commence in January 1st. MPC had recommended that we go with this, with Sue too, so. Okay, Lorna moved this. Any question on Lorna's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, notice of motions. Hearing none, move on to management reports, which we have none. So the next one is to move into camera for the two items, the QP negotiation and tourism management. These both fall under the FOIP, Freedom of Information, and
Read it.
is it on the blue page?
The discussion for Vulcan Tourism Society Management. Council may wish to close this portion of the meeting to the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, Division 1, or Part 1, Division 2. The head of a public body may refuse to disclose and applicate information that do with labor relations, because the Tourism Society Management will most likely talk about staffing. We should close that portion of the meeting, and that same clause falls true for QP negotiations, because of course that is solely labor, so if council wishes to do so, they can.
Okay, so move us in, Kevin.
George Lee moves us in. Any question on George Lee's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Thanks, Jasmine.
Yeah. I like the Reader's Digest. I like that.
Lyle moves us out of camera. Any question on Lyle's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, we just need one more motion to adjourn. Oh, Laura? I was looking for Michelle. Laura, any question on Laura's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. I wanted to get you at least on the sheet somewhere there, Michelle. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, for tonight.